those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough.
From the plans of starting life on Mars to appearing in controversial files, here's how everything about Elon Musk got exposed, and why people are starting not to take him seriously anymore. It all started with the lies about his origins. Most people still don't know what kind of lies Elon told. Elon tells us that he is someone who started from nothing, just like Drake. His father, Elon Musk, already had a history of domestic violence and is widely seen as far from a healthy role model. Being in that environment was clearly painful, but there's a lie in what Elon tells us. According to the narrative that he's pushed out in the world, he grew up poor, but it was later revealed that he still grew up with significant financial comfort.
That was building roads for the Zambian government, or an airfield and roads. I landed on that airfield on the lake itself, and they saw the airplane. They said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to sell it." They said they'll buy it from me. And
the grim reality is that his father actually owned a profitable emerald mine in the 80s, and his mother worked as a successful model, meaning that the family never struggled the way the story sometimes suggests. The family had enough money to not only get by, but they could indulge in some luxuries too, like traveling internationally and even enrolling Elon and his siblings in some of the top schools in South Africa. This kind of lifestyle was definitely not normal at that time. Here's what the world isn't ready to hear. In one of the stories often mentioned, Elon even cried for days trying to convince his father to buy him a motorbike. Eventually, Errol finally gave in and bought it for himself. This makes us think, was Elon really telling the truth? For South Africa, especially in the 80s, this was more privilege than we can imagine. However, in recent years, Musk has always pushed back on anyone saying that he grew up with money. He even repeatedly denied that his father was involved in an emerald mine, calling the story completely made up. But at one point, he openly challenged people to prove that the mine even existed, mocking the idea and brushing it off as nothing more than a conspiracy. What makes this confusing is that, back in 2014, in an interview, Elon Musk spoke very differently compared to what he does today. In that conversation, he referenced his father's involvement in the emerald business, even framing it as a part of his upbringing. This version directly contradicts the past, creating unreliable statements by him. After Musk started distancing himself from the story, the interview became harder to find online. For a long time, no major outlets pressed him on it, but eventually Elon Musk spoke out and publicly confirmed that he had owned a share in an emerald mine and had huge assets, including a private plane. In other words, Elon Musk was lying. But why exactly was he denying a comfortable upbringing? Unless there's something about the past that he doesn't want us to examine too closely. At this point, it's clear Elon didn't start from nothing, no matter how often that narrative gets repeated. Denying all the advantages only fuels more suspicion, and people are now speculating. You thought you saw everything? Subscribe now because it's about to get crazier. But so far, we've only touched the tip of the iceberg because there are many cases throughout Elon's career where he's been bending the truth. Do you want to be shocked? Let's talk about the example involving two engineers, Martin Eberhard and Marc Tarpenning. These engineers had amazing plans for the future, which ultimately led them to design a fully electric car and launch their company called Tesla in 2003. Yes, you're right. Tesla was never invented by Elon alone. The two engineers had an interesting goal, which was to push electric vehicles into the mainstream long before anyone was willing to take the risk. Then, in 2004, Elon Musk took an interest in the company and invested around $7.5 million of his own money. That move made him the largest shareholder and even led him to the role of chairman. His contribution mattered, no doubt, but it came after the foundation was already laid. When people ask him about Tesla's origin, Elon often tells the story as if he created the company himself. He spoke at length about Tesla's beginning while leaving out Marc and Martin entirely. There wasn't a one-time slip. It became a long-running thing that convinced the public that he was the sole founder for more than a decade. This illusion only cracked when the original creator publicly stepped forward to correct the record. By then, the damage was already done, and the whole myth was settled in.
Sure? Yeah. Oh my God. Well, maybe that was a little too hard. Sorry?
In a CNBC interview, Tesla's original founder admitted that working with Elon wasn't smooth at all. They described his behavior after joining the company as disrupted and difficult. One moment is quite interesting. In 2006, in the New York Times, an article was published about Tesla that credited the original founders with Elon's name entirely. The omission didn't sit well with him at all. Shortly after the article went live, Elon sent sharply worded emails to the founder, expressing his grief about his not being in the coverage. He said that he felt insulted and embarrassed by the article, pointing out that he was the only one unmentioned. Martin was even referred to as the chairman. He made it clear that if anything like that happened again, the relationship with Tesla should be considered over, even if it means pulling out of a multi-million-dollar partnership over a single news article. Not long after, Marc and Martin were voted out of their own company. While there is no hard proof showing Elon's direct involvement, Martin later filed a lawsuit accusing Elon of defamation, slander, and breach of contract. He claimed Musk spread false narratives and tried to erase his role in Tesla's founding once and for all. After Martin was gone, Elon wasted no time naming himself as the CEO, which only made the situation feel even more questionable. To make things even worse, the lawsuit ended with an undisclosed settlement, and no details were ever released. This silence led many to speculate that maybe money pressure or legal leverage played a role in keeping things quiet. While Elon's level of wealth and influence grew, few people believed anything was off the table if his image was at stake. And then comes a pattern that really led to Elon's downfall. But before we reveal exactly what unfolded, subscribe to the channel now because things are about to get interesting. This might seem like a small thing coming from an average person, but from someone with massive influence and global reach, this raises serious concerns. Over time, Elon Musk has pushed products that directly affect everyone's life, from transportation to communication. When delays pile up, timelines shift, and the quality claims don't match the reality. That's where trust also starts to get away. Instead of correcting course, he always overstates release dates and oversells capabilities, which repeatedly led to awkward and public setbacks. Remember the Cybertruck's armored glass demonstration? That was a perfect example of this case. The whole pitch felt pointless from the jump. From the start, this was supposed to be the work truck everyone expected to buy and go towards the greener side of things. But when compared to other trucks in the same price range, the results were quite underwhelming. Even accounting for tough testing conditions, it's hard to ignore how far reality fell from promises.
When they're in sort of a desperate state, they will then tend to really push headlines that get the most clicks, whether those headlines are accurate or not.
The bigger issue is Elon's habit of exaggeration. It isn't just marketing noise. In certain cases, it creates real risks for people who trust those claims. That concern has followed Tesla since it released the Autopilot, which is a system marketed as advanced self-driving tech. Federal regulators have linked hundreds of crashes and multiple deaths to the youth. For someone with near-alternative resources, their expectations would be aggressive fixes and accountability. Instead, the responses were largely dismissive, and he would say things like, "Tesla is still performing better than drivers in real life." By this point, it's quite obvious that Elon thrives on juggling multiple companies at once. That image turned him into the figure that we see everywhere, and also the fact that he is a multi-billionaire in the world. People often praised his grind without questioning the cost. Unfortunately, employees and insiders have described a much darker side of working under Elon. Many have felt that they were dealing with a cold, distant boss who lacks empathy. Coupled with his extreme work ethic that people praise today, it also comes with serious downsides. In some countries, the expectations he set would be straight-up violating labor laws. After getting Twitter in 2022, he sent an email laying out the ultimatum. He wrote that we will need to be extremely hardcore. This would mean working hours at high intensity only. He even fired a big chunk of people after acquiring Twitter. Anyone who didn't agree by the deadline was offered 3 months of severance. The result was immediate. Roughly 30% of the employees left on the spot, and nearly half were let go later on. The remaining staff was banned from working remotely, locking them into a rigid structure overnight.
If you're talking to Elon or you want to have a conversation with Elon and you get that opportunity to talk to Elon, you need to be concise, quick.
There's definitely 2 a.m. texts and 6 a.m. conference calls.
When I used to go into meetings with him, I used to always stop by our...
This leadership style may drive results. It is also unethical and creates high-stress environments. Critics even argue that his expectations often show a lack of empathy, and also that his disconnect from reality is quite absurd. During an argument with one of his ex-wife's wives, he reportedly left her with a cutting remark no partner ever wants to hear. He said that if you were my employee, I would fire you. He then followed it up by calling her an idiot. The comment wasn't framed as a joke or sarcasm. It was cold, dismissive, and quite personal to his ex-wife. In recent months, the criticism has also shifted from his business practices to his personal associations, specifically those found within the controversial files. You know what we're talking about. For years, Musk distanced himself from any connection to that one disgraced financier, labeling him as a creep and insisting he had repeatedly declined invitations to the private island. However, the release of the massive piles of documents in 2026 told a much different story. Those records revealed a series of emails from 2012 and 2013 showing a very controversial exchange. In those exchanges, Musk reportedly inquired about the wildest party on the island and discussed logistics for a visit with his then-wife. While the documents show the trip ultimately fell due to a scheduling conflict, the friendly tone of the email directly contradicts Musk's long-standing claims of having no connection to that person. He responded to the leak statement with a leak. He responded to the deep by saying that he knew he would be smeared and argued that the messages were being interpreted by everyone. Beyond public interest, the emails also fueled a 2014 photograph of Musk standing alongside Ghislaine Maxwell. While he dismissed the image as a photobomb at a party, the combination of the photo and the newly surfaced files creates a massive PR hurdle for many people. This isn't about legal wrongdoing, as the files didn't implicate any of his crimes, but rather a huge lack of transparency, which he shows throughout his career. Now people from all over the world are also tweeting number "Release the Elon files," which is quite something that has been bothering Musk for a while now. What do you think about Elon Musk's downfall? Did he deserve every bit of it? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for more content like this.